Hey everybody, Derek here to bring another video for The Walking Dead, Season 7. And what I want to do in this video is look at whether I think Rosita will use the bullet that Eugene made for her in the mid-season finale, and if she does, what will the consequences be? If you are not caught up with The Walking Dead and you do not want to be spoiled in any way, then I suggest you exit the video now and come back later, because otherwise you will be spoiled. Okay, so looking at Rosita's character ever since the events of the Season 7 premiere, we have seen that Rosita is really one of the few people in the community that really seems to be actively trying to fight against the Saviors. You know, ever since the Season 7 premiere, I think seeing Abraham die, seeing somebody that she did love, she still continued to love him, I think. And in many ways, you know, the bond between Abraham and Rosita was special because they had been together with Eugene even before they had ran into Rick's group. So obviously those individuals were closer together than, you know, maybe they had been towards Rick and the group. You know, obviously if you spend more time with somebody, you're going to have more experiences, you're going to have more memories, you're going to have more of a bond with them than you would somebody that you just don't know as well. And I think that was the case for Rosita. And I really think that in many ways, she has taken on the role of what Abraham would be doing if he was alive. Because I think it's very clear that if Abraham would have survived the Season 7 premiere, he would probably be doing the exact same thing that Rosita is doing. He would be trying to get revenge. He would be trying to find a way to fight. There's no way that Negan ever would have been able to get Abraham to submit before him. No way. So that's obviously the reason why Negan killed him, because I think that Negan saw that. But Rosita has really taken on what Abraham would be doing. And I think in many ways it is to honor him. It is to honor his memory. It is to do what I think that she thinks he would have done. And I think that really Rosita, in many ways, is very thankful for the things that Abraham did for her and Eugene before they met up with Rick's group. After that, things that Abraham taught her, I think that that really rubbed off on her. And I think that she's really trying to honor him, even though it may lead to very bad consequences for her. But I think that, again, because of how she feels about him, she's willing to sacrifice herself like he would have sacrificed himself for anything, and ultimately did sacrificing himself just to get back at Negan and to potentially make things better for Rick's group and for herself. Because really, Rosita, I think, is able to look at the situation differently than Rick. And the reason is because Rick is the leader. Again, everybody's eyes are on Rick. Negan's eyes are on Rick. If Rick does one thing out of line, it's not going to go well. Whereas Rosita has really been able to get away with talking back to people, talking back to Dwight, kind of giving him that attitude that she did. I think that in many ways, she isn't seen as somebody that could fight, but really she will. And I really think that because of her attitude that she had in the last episode, the way she was talking to Eugene, I think that she's just so blinded by anger, but also in a sense has this idea of honoring Abraham on her mind, that I think she's going to use that bullet. I really do. What would the reason be for? That's definitely some question. One thing you have to wonder is, would Rosita use that bullet for something that was happening? Again, maybe one of the Saviors might try to kill somebody because of something that happens, and maybe Rosita will shoot them. I don't see that happening as much. I think that really she realizes she has one bullet. She needs to use it wisely, and I really think that she's going to use it to try to kill Negan. I don't know when, I don't know what the circumstances would be, but I think that she's going to be ready. I think that something's going to happen in the episode, and Rosita's going to take the chance. She's going to try to shoot at Negan. Will she hit him? I think no. I think that Rosita is going to be used to illustrate one of the comic book moments that's very iconic at this point in the story, and I'm going to give you a little background about it. In, I think it's issue 112 or 113, I can't quite remember the exact number, but when Rick's group finally decides to fight against Negan and the Saviors, what happened was Negan was at Alexandria and Carl shoots at Negan, but he misses and he hits Lucille. And at that point, Negan basically says to the group, you need to throw Carl over the wall or I'm going to execute like 3 or 4 different people in Alexandria. Like they were literally lined up, kind of like how the lineup was in the season 7 premiere, as well as in the comics in issue 100. Well, I personally think that Rosita is going to take on that role. I think that she is going to be the one that ends up shooting Lucille, and I think that that will happen in the mid-season finale, because I think that that would be something that would set forth the motions for the fight to happen. So I think what's going to happen is Rosita's going to shoot at Negan, the bullet does not hit him, or it will deflect off of Lucille and maybe graze him a little bit, but it won't hit him to the point where he is seriously wounded, mortally wounded. That's not going to happen. I think that really it's going to be that the bullet is just going to hit Lucille and damage Lucille. And we know how much Negan, loves Lucille. I mean, it's very, very crazy the relationship that Negan has with an inanimate object, but he does. And I mean, you saw the way in the last episode where when the guy brought Lucille back to him saying, hey, Negan, you left Lucille out by the truck. He's like, well, did you treat her like a lady? Did you treat her properly? Blah, blah, blah. I mean, you see that he does care about that bat. I mean, it really is a possession of Negan's that he really, really puts a lot of value in. And I think if anybody were to do anything to Lucille, it would be bad. And I think that if indeed Rosita does shoot Lucille, not going to end well. Now, would that be placed on Rosita, or would that end up being a consequence that causes Negan to do something else? I could see it going either way. I could see one of 2 things happening as a result of Rosita doing this. One is that they might end up taking her back to the sanctuary. I could see that happening. I don't think that Rosita will get killed because of this. I just think that at this point in the season, because of Abraham's death and because of Glenn's death, I don't think we're going to have another main cast member die in the mid-season finale. If anybody does die, it's going to either be members of the Saviors or one of the Alexandria residents. I don't think it's going to be a main cast member, but I could see Negan maybe, giving Rosita, he might beat her up and maybe take her back to the sanctuary with him. I could definitely see that potentially happening. Maybe Negan has the idea of, hey, maybe I need to break you too. Maybe I need to make you one of my wives. I mean, well, then again, I don't think he would do that because he only wants women that are willing to do that. But I could see him potentially really hurting Rosita, or again, maybe taking her back as a prisoner to the sanctuary as well. That I could see happening. Or I could see Negan killing somebody else in Alexandria because of what she did. Because Negan has a way of being able to figure out how to break people without killing them. That's the thing about Rick. Negan was able to figure out that Rick's weakness was his love for his people and his children. And all Negan has to do is prove that he will do something to people or kill them, and he's got Rick under his thumb. Well, I think that he would look at Rosita and see the same thing. I think that he might think, you know what? If I prove to her that I'm serious about what I'll do and I place a death on her, that kind of like how Daryl, he placed the guilt of Glenn's death on Daryl. That's something that Dwight's been using. I think it's going to happen the same way here. He's not going to kill Rosita, but what he might do is that he might kill somebody else and say, that's on you, Rosita. That's your fault. If you wouldn't have shot me, you wouldn't have done this, you wouldn't have hurt her, this wouldn't have happened. And maybe it might leave Rosita feeling, very upset and heartbroken that this had to happen. So I could see that happening. I could see that Negan would, pick somebody else to kill. And I could see that being a couple of people, but right now, The two people that I think are more likely to die in the mid-season finale are either Spencer or Olivia. And I could see that going either way. I mean, I think that in many ways you might see Spencer get his comic book death. So I could definitely see it being Olivia that this would happen to, that Negan would, beat Olivia to death with Lucille, or he might use some other weapon because he doesn't want to hurt Lucille anymore, and kill her to, in a sense, punish Rosita for what she did and to make her feel terrible and guilty as a result. So I think that's really what's going to happen. I think that Rosita is going to fulfill Carl's story in the comic books, that she will end up shooting at Negan. She's going to miss him. The bullet's going to hit Lucille, and I think that as a result, Negan will kill somebody in the community because of what Rosita did. And we'll see who it is, we'll see why, but I think that's what's going to happen. I think that's going to be a very significant moment, which I'll explain in another video of what I think will happen. So with that, I'm going to bring this video to a close. I want to thank all of you for watching. If you have any questions or comments, don't be afraid to leave them. Feel free to subscribe. I do have more videos coming. And if you have any suggestions for future videos that you would like to see, don't be afraid to suggest them. Have a very wonderful evening, and thank you all very much for watching.